Welcome back to the Travsessed podcast. We're your hosts, Kim and Aaron. We are healthcare travelers and the creators of Travsessed. And we are back on this time Thursday with a traveler quick tip. It is short, sweet, to the point. So here we go.
Flight crew, please prepare for departure.
Okay, so Kim came home from Florida, sick as a dog. She was febrile the night before she flew out, had an early flight, and then basically coughed her way home. And here she is.
Trying not to cough right now. Like, I feel much better than I did. Literally Sunday, I woke up at my sister's, and I felt okay. And then all of a sudden, we were, laying in bed watching the Paris Hilton documentary, and I just started shaking uncontrollably and, was so cold and felt horrible. It was like an instant just attack. And I'm like, what the heck? And my chest was burning. It came out of nowhere and I was so sick. And I'm like, thank God I don't have to fly today. And then the next morning I woke up and flew out super early and I felt much better. But yeah, I still just kind of feel yuck, you know?
I mean, today's Wednesday and you're still feeling
I feel
yucky.
Blah. I'm just I literally slept 13 hours yesterday.
That's awesome.
I took a 3-hour nap yesterday, which Aaron, I'm somebody, if I take a nap, it's 20 minutes, I'm up, eyes open. It annoys Aaron so much because he's let's take a nap, but he wants a 3-4 hour nap.
No, the thing is she falls asleep apparently immediately for naps, but can't fall asleep immediately when she goes to bed at night, but then sleeps for 20 minutes. I am just now falling asleep in 20 minutes. Because
the only time I ever take a nap, I'm not a big nap taker. The only time is if I'm in that exhausted state where you close your eyes and I pass out in a puddle of drool and I wake up 20 minutes later and I feel incredible. I'm not a big nap taker by nature.
I love naps.
I know. So yesterday I took a 3-hour nap, which is I don't do that.
Did you have to take naps as a kid?
Did I? Oh, you know what? No. I remember my mom would make me take a nap, but I have this memory, we'll talk about it sometimes, that I would just go into my room and play very quietly. So she thought that I was napping. And then when I was ready to get up, I would just lay in the bed and cry and pretend I was waking up. And my mom was like, I knew you were in there just playing, but she was like, as long as you were just having quiet time and you could do whatever you wanted. But yeah, I never would nap. I would just go in there and play really quietly.
My nap time was 2:30 every day.
Okay.
Loved
it.
I hated it then. I'm not coming inside. I want to play.
Right.
But I had to take a nap.
Right. If only you knew as a kid how amazing that would be. Adults beg for naps.
I know.
Yeah.
Interesting.
No. Okay.
All right. So this week we wanted to talk to you about...
Sorry.
This week, we wanted to talk to you about guaranteed versus non-guaranteed hours in a contract. I am currently in a contract in West Virginia, and a curveball was thrown into my contract that I had never seen before. So it's created this topic that we wanted to talk with you about today.
And I think, again, we always like to teach you guys everything that we're learning because there's always so much to learn. There's always, so many gray areas when it comes to traveling. And it's so giving you as much insight as we can so you know the right questions to ask so you can set your expectations accordingly. So first, let's break down what guaranteed hours versus non-guaranteed hours are when it comes to a contract. So this is something that the hospital sets. This is not something your recruiter has anything to do with. The hospital decides whether it's a guaranteed hour contract or not. It's simple as that. But your recruiter knows. So just asking, is this guaranteed hours or non-guaranteed hours? They're going to know. The hospital sets the tone for that. So if you have a guaranteed hour contract, so let's say you're working 40 hours a week, the hospital is guaranteeing you are going to work your full 40 hours, meaning they cannot send you home. They cannot call you off a shift unless, or they can't do it. They have to pay you for it.
Right.
So they're not going to call you off. They're going to have to pay you. So they're going to send someone else home. Right. So they're required to pay you for your full hours every single week, whatever your hours are. For non-guaranteed hours, it just means that the hospital could call you off or send you home early, and your per diems will still be paid depending on your company, but most companies are still going to pay your per diems, but you're not going to get paid your hourly. And so that's just kind of how that works. And this is not this doesn't include you calling off work. This is just if the hospital is
or taking
calling you
days off.
Right. So that's the difference. So you want to ask what kind of contract you're going to have. And
Totally.
they're all different.
Totally. And I will say too, throughout the years, it's never been something that, Kim and I have talked about together and been like, oh, if this isn't guaranteed, we're not taking it. And then screw this company, they won't give me guaranteed hours. That's not how it works, right? So you just want to know those things, that this hospital is setting it. So, I also ask it in interview questions, if I know out front, because number one, I got kind of lazy on this one, and I didn't really read that stuff, or I didn't ask right offhand whether it's guaranteed or not. And so it was after the interview that I found all this stuff, and after my credentialing is when I got my email stating what days were holidays and what was my guaranteed hour policy. And so it was then that I was like, oh, crap, because what happened is they said it was guaranteed. My recruiter said it was guaranteed, but there was an asterisk, and there was a stipulation. And basically that stipulation allowed the hospital to call me off or for me to be short 12 hours per 2 weeks. So they could call me off, and if you're a nurse, then it's basically one shift every 2 weeks that they are eligible to call me off or send me home. But it's not 12 hours right off the bat. It could be 4 here, 6 here, 2 here. It's just adding up to 12 hours total every 2 weeks. And so I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. That's not that big of a deal. I love going home. I used to dream of being able to come home early on contracts. But what has happened was in this West Virginia job, we rarely work till 5:30 at the end of my shift. We usually get done around 4:30, sometimes 3:30, depending on the day. And since we don't take call and we don't do emergency cases, they just leave. And so the full-time staff has PTO, which they take, and they say they haven't worked a full 40-hour week in a long time. And so that actually has come into play where, last paycheck I had 35 hours. The paycheck before I had 36 hours, 38 hours. So I don't think I've ever pulled a full 40 since I've been there.
Yeah. Which, again, isn't that big of a deal for us, because
right.
We're like, oh, whatever, you can leave early. We're not at a place where we're like, oh, you got to get every second of every, Aaron's kind of like, I'll go home, he's fine with it. But if you're in a place that you're like, no, I need to make sure I'm getting my full hours, these are just good conversations to have so that going into the contract what you can expect. And so again, we've been traveling 11 years, guaranteed hours. We're going to, all is well. They can't call us off. And then there's this caveat in there that says you can call them off for 12 hours in 2 weeks. So there's just so many gray areas. And so these are the questions you want to be asking your recruiters. Anytime you're looking to start a new contract, so you feel super clear.
Yeah, totally. We're just arming you with, material that protects you. And I'd also, it's definitely not, I just kind of thought of this, but, if you are needing every penny, I think that's almost like a question to have as well is, there's so much freedom and joy and flexibility in the fact that 12 hours, fine, I'll come home and enjoy myself, or I'll go out to dinner with my wife, or I'll do something cool or sleep or rest, but 12 hours isn't going to break the bank.
Right.
Right. And so if 12 hours is going to break the bank and you can't take this, then maybe asking yourself the question of what can I do in my life to make sure that 12 hours isn't going to break me.
Yeah.
And that's every 2 weeks. That's 6 hours a week.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Right.
You haven't lost that much.
No, like I said, I've been at 36, 37, 38.
Yeah.
35 this week.
Yeah. Dang, you better stay at work.
But now I'm already at 39 or 29.06 with 10 hours to go tomorrow.
Okay.
So granted, I don't come home at 3 tomorrow.
Or you could come home at 3 and play with me.
That's what I was thinking.
Want a cuddle monster? I know. It's like we're the worst though. Cause like I'm like, yeah, just like leave and come home and hang out. Like I just want you to, especially tomorrow's your Friday, so I'm like, come home, you can cuddle, like we can have some time because like we were away all last weekend. I was in Florida, Aaron was home, and he missed me dearly and it was crying for me to come home. And now we can just have a nice cuddle day. So I'm like, yeah, whatever, just leave until you get your paycheck. And then I'm like, why is it so low?
Yeah, for real.
Anyway, okay. Well, hopefully this was helpful. And anything else? If you're listening at the end of this, and tomorrow's the last day to join our Patagonia trip, so...
Tomorrow's not. Friday is.
Tomorrow, they're listening to this on Thursday.
Oh.
Yeah. So... if you want to join us in Patagonia, reach out to us. We can give you all the trip information on that.
It's going to be an epic adventure. There's already an amazing group going. We took 28 people last year, 2 groups of 14, and had the most amazing time. We're recreating that trip and added some spiciness into it now that we've been there. And so it's going to be an awesome trip. We have a couple spots left, so reach out to us. We'd love to have you. I think it would be one of those bucket list, no matter what, even if you never even heard of Patagonia, take a peek at it because it is one of those bucket list areas, and we have an amazing Travsessed trip that goes every year. So
I'm excited.
Me too.
All right, let's do this.
All right, we'll see you next week.
All right, bye guys.
Bye.